Okay, folks, good morning. Another painting session, this time on Sunday morning. Make sure I get on the right screen. I think that's the correct screen. Okay. Had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning. Get started as always. Always something. All you tech nerds, I don't know how you do it. It's a miracle I can get this technology to work when it does. Hey, I'm just a simple painter. All right. So where we left off yesterday, we got these 6 horsemen complete, and they've now been sealed. And this is them. And these are all going to go on 3 stands of light horse. So let's go ahead and get the bases up. I should still have plenty. Good old Litco stands. Make sure the volume is correct. I guess if I had nothing to do, I could have pre-stuck all these things on here, but there's always something better to do than that. There's the 3. And, all right. Good, we have a viewer, we had a viewer. Just making sure this thing's running. Like I said, it really throws me off when things don't go off to a smooth start electronically. I mean, it's not that difficult. You know, you start up your phone's already started up. Use it as a camera. Turn on the webcam. Click on the webcam icon on your computer. Link them both to each other. Turn OSB on, make sure everything's running, plug in your mic, be good to go. It's about how easy it should be. Remember to turn your screen sideways, because unlike filming my games, I don't have to do that. But when I'm doing this through the computer, for whatever reason, you got to make sure that the mirror image is correct. So otherwise it's back asswards. So Okay. So here's the 3 Lidco stands. We're going to need our friend the X-Acto knife. Is that the sharpest 1.5? No blade at all. That one should work. I only worry about getting a really, really sharp one if I'm like cutting out flags or something like that. Cutting out those decals. You want to make sure they don't tear on you. All right. And the magnets are slightly larger than the stand, which is a good thing. These are the heavy-duty magnets, the ones that I use. They're a tiny little bit thicker than the original formula ones. But they grab, it seems like 25% more. So anything I can do to keep my figures from crashing into each other when they're in transport is a good thing. All right. And because I want my stands to fit flush with each other, I always run an X-Acto knife down the side because I want the stands to fit next to each other. And these are heavy-duty magnets, so I could play on the side of the refrigerator if I felt like it. Now, when I made the decision, they make steel now, or fake steel. If you were putting the little steel things on here, it would feel exactly like the magnets. I've bought some of their stuff before, but at the time, they only made the magnet bottoms, so it wasn't even a decision to make. If I had to do it again, I still would go with magnet bottoms because I did pick up some of the steel, which is, like I said, a little bit, it's almost the same as this. It feels exactly the same. Obviously, it's the opposite of the charge. Metallic things, magnetic things stick to it. And the problem is that it's only this thick. So I got some of that strip magnet and I stuck it to like inside of my first carrier was almost like a tackle box type thing. So I had stuck the figures onto it. And it doesn't have enough pull. So they slide a lot easier, like if they take these like in a baking tray, which is what I normally do. I'm getting a notification here. I thought it was. I don't know. Internet's still acting wonky. You guys let me know if something's going on sideways on here. We'll restart this feed because I plan on being on here a couple hours for sure. So we got some little different stuff to do this morning. So, you know, I normally carry these in a baking tray now, and they're so much more secure than the magnetic pull from these magnet bottoms being on the, I think they call it, they don't call it sheet metal, but anyways, it's the same material that's steel, or it has magnetic properties of metal somehow in it. So I've gone away from using that other material, but I guess it would work the same way if you use the metal bottoms on here. What the problem is I want the entire density of the ions of the entire baking tray holding the figure in place. When you use if you put magnetic strip down, it's only going to be the thickness of whatever that magnetic strip is. So you get a better purchase when you put this stuff, the magnetic bottoms, on an entire metal thing. So, but that's the reason I used this one and not the other one. The other one wasn't available, so it wasn't even a choice. The only reason I use, the reason I started using Litco is when I got into DBA, they happened to have, why am I getting all these notifications? Yeah, I know it's connected here. I'm telling you, I'm not going to leave my, I don't like what I do for a living, but I'm not leaving the construction field for going to IT anything, because I just don't have the personality type for this technology stuff working fine one day and then doing the exact same thing and it wants to misbehave the next one. And then the third day it goes back to normal and there's no issues. I just don't have a personality type for it. So I apologize. Yeah, it's still giving me these notifications connected. I know. Why not? What's the problem? What's the issue? All right, well, hopefully you guys are getting a good feed. I'm going to stop talking about it. You guys will let me know if something's wrong. I don't know if chat's up. Any of you guys want to do me a favor and write something on chat and see if it comes on here? I'll start it off with a hello. Yeah, let me know. If not, like I said, I'll restart this feed because we're going to be on here a couple hours. I certainly want it to go well. Like yesterday when we didn't have any issues. Okay, so we got our 3 bases done. One of my favorite things coming up of the entire building a DBA army process is this one. So I've got 6 figures I've already painted, and I've used some thought process and how I was going to paint each one. A little bit of it. I talked about it as I did it. And we're going to pick who goes on what stand with who. One of my favorite things to do. All right. So first thing I do is separate them up by poses. Okay. So we've got these 2 guys are the same pose. Same horse, same pose. These 2 figures. And we'll go ahead and put it's so weird. Let's see. I want to move it this way, so let me move it that way. There we go. It's back asswards. Okay. These 2 will definitely not be on the same stand. So with that guy will be on that stand. This one will be over here. All right. What do we have pose-wise here? These 2 are the same pose. So they don't need to be on the same stand. So I don't want to put them both here because then you make both of these stands exactly the same figure-wise. So we're going to put one of them here and we'll leave one guy here. Okay, and then these 2 are different. So we're just going to put this guy on this stand so they don't have the spear in the same direction. Okay. And then this guy here. Okay, so that's initially how we're going to do them. Now let's make sure that the colors work so that we don't flip them around or anything. All right, so this guy has red along with this guy with red. So I really don't want these 2 on the same stand if I can avoid it. Okay, this is the same pose as this guy, so let's flip these 2. Plus these 2 guys have round shields. There's no reason for the 2 round shield guys to be on the same stand. So we're going to exchange these 2. Okay, now let's take a look. Now these 2 look good. All right. This is kind of the same pose as that one. But this guy has a feather, and I don't want... And then there's only 2 guys with feathers. I'd rather them not be on the same stand. So I kind of like how that is right now. We have a red and a light blue. We have the light blue and white shield with the lion shield. I like this. I like that. I like the who's who and what stand. All right, so we're going to grab these 2. These 2 here. These 2 here. All right, let's mix up. Let's pop the figures off. because we don't want to be rushed with the epoxy. I don't know. Is chat not working? There we go. For some reason, I didn't have the display on there. Sorry about that, folks. I just saw that. Good morning, gangster. Painting with hat backwards. Yeah, it's to keep the hair out of my eyes. I could paint without a hat, but then I got to put stuff in my hair, so I don't really want to do that this morning. I don't put a whole lot of product in my hair, but anyhow, that's the only reason I do it. Yeah, it keeps me young, right? Good morning, John. Sydney, hope all's well. Time since last caught you. Been doing a lot of 6mm since then. Cool. 15mm owl bears. Interesting. Nordic Maelstrom, there you are. I think the magnets get stronger after they've been on their metal trays for a while. I'm going to take your word for it because I am not a scientist. I don't understand a lot of that stuff. How are you faring after the pounding of the crossbows from yesterday? Yeah, the problem is he had the army I'd love to have. I love crossbows. And I hate taking knights into blades because I've won many games being on the flip side of that. It's just one of, after you've lost almost 900 games, each individual loss doesn't really matter. Especially since he's still behind. Let's see, I lost 2 games. I think he's like 12 games behind me, so. I told him if he ever gets ahead of me on our own games, he's going to start having to film and everything. I'm going to just go back to just painting. Okay, yeah. I'm just retarded and I didn't click the right thing on here, so I apologize for being incompetent, but I'm sure it'll happen again. Hey, I want to not make any mistakes, but, there's this humanity thing that keeps getting in the damn way. All right. Let's take. So this is one of my favorite things to do is sort who's who and what stand. You got to chuckle out of that constant Monty Python references. Yeah, that stuff sticks with you, doesn't it? Plebeians versus enemies. Well, that's a long time since we played that one. I'm trying to build armies that are a little bit more fluid. The fluid armies are ones you don't see as often in conventions, which I think makes them interesting. And they're not as good. Armies you don't take to an open. We rarely play open events. And we're supposed to have a game night tomorrow. So, I'm not sure we're kind of doing the roundup, finding out who's going to show up. I plan on being there. Mitch will plan on being there. I'm not sure about anybody else. The problem is if like 4 or 5 people show up, then it really screws up the whole filming business. Which doesn't matter to me. I don't need to be in any more games, but I know a lot of you guys prefer when it's just Mitch and I. We're more verbal than the other people, and to be honest with you, that makes it a lot more fun. Where is the... Like I said yesterday, none of this is edited. Okay, I'm looking for my needle, which should be right here. I know, I picked some of this up last night, yesterday, and I shouldn't have done that, because I don't know where things are. Let's see, what can I use instead of a needle? Because the opening of this is getting gummed up a little bit. Well, I can go down here and get another one. There's always that. This is the bag that you do not want to fall on, because there's all kinds of metal things. And for good measure, a lot of these are right out of the bag. I don't know if I have turned these into safety ones or not, but we're going to, because I don't want to have an accident. For those of you that are paranoid about using this stuff, just throw the ends out, man. Problem solved. You won't draw blood now. You gotta poke yourself really hard for that to happen. Alright, this is getting gummed up for some reason. Now, I've had these two epoxy things about 10 years. And as you can see, I've only used maybe a third of them. So, I forget how much I paid for these two, maybe $12, something like that. They were really a good deal. Is this the stinkier one or the less stinky one? This is the most gummy this has ever been. Oh, you know what? It's probably the temperature. It is kind of cold in here. Okay, I think that's enough. And I'm not sure exactly how imprecise you can get away with and still get a good bond with the epoxy. I think if you're off percentage-wise, maybe by, look at the top of this. This is weird. How long ago did I use this? Maybe a couple months ago? Why is it behaving like this? Weird. Don't make me waste another $12. Go buy some more. They haven't banned epoxy yet, like my compound yet, have they? I have to break out the new compound here shortly and see how it does. Hopefully it's not a fail. If it is, I'm experienced enough to find a workaround. Because we're going to be using a new basing compound today. And the best thing when mixing these things up is just use a needle. Because what happens is when you're done, you just scrape off and you've got a brand new. If you use a little wooden stick, you're going to throw that stick away every time. So, for the purpose of recycling, hey, I'm not trying to save the world. Or be frugal. It just makes sense. Why waste things? You know? Why waste things? It must be the temperature in here. It's probably close to 60 in the house. I don't know what that is in centigrade. You guys are on your own. I'm good with the metric system, not the metric temperature. I think the best armies are where you can find. Oh, I better not screw around. I'll get back to your questions here in a moment. I didn't take my own advice. I get carried away easy. Epoxy might not be any good by the time I get to it. I got carried away with an audience. So these are super glued down. All I do is, because I'm going to have to fit these to make sure that they balance well. Haha. Didn't fall on the ground. I can feel being rushed by that epoxy. Should have done this first. But I'm sidetracked by the chat and stuff. No big deal. We got plenty more epoxy. But these particular castings are kind of a pain in the ass. And I experienced this when I was doing the light horse for my Hungarians. They don't balance. They don't balance really well. You got to get them just right when you put them on here. Let's see who doesn't need help. That guy stands all by himself. Perfect. What about this guy? No, this guy needs help. Where is the new device that I found that was awesome for this? Is this little file. It's perfect for this. There's actually lots of things I could use, but this file in particular. Use this to hold it down. Perfect. There he stands. They need to pretty much be standing on their own so that when you epoxy them down, this guy's pretty close. They don't fall all over themselves. I think it was better before I screwed with them. Why are you screwing with your guys? I'm going to leave that guy be because that epoxy's going to be pretty thick. And I prefer to use epoxy to super glue. I don't have much confidence in super glue in anything anymore. And that's with the thick one. The gap filling kind. It's just brittle. And if you break that little seal around it, it's not worth a damn. It's got no tensile strength at all. So epoxy definitely has more tensile strength. So if your figures bend a little bit, if you go and you pick them up and somehow you bend them together, it's still going to hold them a little more. It's not going to be like they're going to pop off. Hey, you use whatever glue you're happy with. I know several people that use white glue, and I really don't have any confidence in white glue. Now, this guy has. I could use the file, but it's really close to the center. All right, how are we doing on this epoxy? No, we're good. All right, so we're going to take this. These guys are the wonkiest, so we'll do them last. We're going to put these two. I like this guy on the outside here. Let's get here. I'm just going to dip them in here. Sorry if this isn't on camera. I'm going to try to. And I'd like to get them inside the confines of the stand if I can. Okay, don't move. Okay, next one. That one had the round shield on this side, so we're going to put the line shield over on this side. And this one over here. Yeah, okay, the epoxy hardened up nicely. And with light horse skirmishers, I happen to like when they're off a little bit of an angle, so they're a little more regular looking. You're going to be incorrigible like that, aren't you? How do they fit front to back? Those are good. Okay. Stay. All right, good boy. And this one we're going to put, I mean, it's 10-minute epoxy. It should be like set in no time. Get all the drippings on here. There we go. Oh yeah, this is almost like hot glue gun thickness. This is perfect if I don't fumble it. Okay. Now, how are we looking? Good. Good. All right, let's flip these guys around. Have them on the pretty shield side. Okay. So there they are. Now let me take a look at the comments. Okay, let's see here. Man, sorry. Man, you guys, I play catch-ups. I like reading all the stuff you guys put on here. I think the best armies are where you can find matchups where they're all frenemies at some point. Absolutely. Had to pause the video to put on Monty Python, The Holy Grail. Needless to say, the movie and the commentary on your games cracked me up good. Oh, 3 shall be the number of the counting, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 is right out. Yeah. Did you see that holy hand grenade of Antioch on the flag? I think Mitch had never noticed that before. I hadn't either, but it's not my army. I hadn't really played with it. Time Wars is amazing for that. It is. Have some Romans, Goths, Sassanids. It'll be a fun trio using the 15mm WRG bases. Wallachians are cool because they wedge in that Balkan, Italian coast, Ottoman area. Absolutely. I want Li Dang, Eastern Franks, Nicephorians for that reason. Some years everybody's at it. Yeah. Be very interested in finding a good representation of Vlad 15mm and painting it up real good. Well, you'll be able to see that soon. Of course, at the rate I'm going, it's probably 6 months from now. You need to do a sensible one and a ridiculous one to whip out at friendlies. Love to find a good figure that would work for a vampire version of Vlad just for laughs. Oh, mine's not that. Mine's a realistic guy. We're going to talk in a stupid accent when we play that army for sure. Nice, respectable Balkan prince in silk and mail on one base, and then just over-the-top vampire impaling times on the other. I've got my impaling camp. Have you guys seen that? I'll bring that out after I read the rest of these comments. Essex horse never balances well. Good morning, Marco. You're right. They're weird. Their bases are too small on the horses, you know. We did double figures, 6mm. If I don't want to do 15s on 28mm bases now, man, I don't need things to slow me down for painting. It obviously would look very good. Yeah. 15mm never stopped being cool. Good morning, Greg. Have I tried using an actual hot glue gun for these figures? No, it's too hard to control. No, it's just way too hard to control. Thank you, Enicaro. Good morning to you. Thank you, Mike B. I know you like to do painting, but I'd like to see terrain creation as well, especially your stackable terrain where you move the top and the base allows easier movement placement. Maybe in the future. I've done it before. I built some woods. I did do the Irish woods were built on camera. But yeah, there's always room for more terrain for sure. You can now call me Mr. Mediocre. Okay, Mr. Mediocre. How about we call you Mediocre Mate? 6 wins and 6 losses over 2 days at CanCon. You know, sometimes that's a win, Greg. Depending on who you're playing, it could be a lot worse. 50-50 is not that bad. Ancient British performed quite well, but medieval French were disappointing. That makes no sense. I would think it would be the opposite, but hey, maybe you're good with Warband. They seem to leave me out to dry every time. Ah, the holy hand grenade. The reaction was priceless. Yeah, none of my stuff's edited when, you know, we're surprised constantly by stuff that happens. Okay, so we're going to let these little guys sit for a little while they harden up, maybe another 15 minutes, and then we'll start messing with the bases. So now we got to think about what we're going to do next. Okay, I'll let this dry too, because we'll just pop this thing off. There's no reason in taking this and then wiping the epoxy off. Just wait for it to harden, okay, and you know, do that. My impaled camp. All right, let's find them. They're in here somewhere. The Forest of the Impaled. This is going to be the camp for these guys. And these are guys that are 3D printed. I did an unboxing on them about 6 months ago. I could be off a month or 2 or 3. And they're 3D printed guys. and 15 millimeter scale. I mean, they're thinner. They're more life size than Essex guys tend to be kind of stumpy, anyways. And they have a variety of figure poses, and they're impaled correctly, which is anally, not, like, who is it that makes, I think Donington makes impaled guys, but they're like pieces of paper, like in one of those pins. No, they were impaled, you already have a natural hole to follow, so that's how they were impaled. And there's probably 7 or 8 different poses. See, sometimes it comes out through the shoulder. You don't really want it to come out through the shoulder. But I was reading a book. I think it's historical. I think it's the book on historical fiction that I was reading about Vlad, and they want it to come out through the mouth, but it never works out. Well, you're using too big a pole, So there's a variety of different poses. I think they'll paint up great. I started to prime one of them because I'm concerned how the paint's going to stick to this stuff. But when we get around to that, that'll be fun. So that's one of the camp will have, I'm probably going to have 1 foot guy there of some kind. And then it'll be just a camp of just these sticks with people on them. That's what the plan is anyways. Apt to change at any moment, but we're going to work our way to that. That's going to be the last thing we do. So, one of the last things that we do. My buddy Joe asked me yesterday, he says, okay, so you've got your 3 light horse figures, 3 light horse stand, the figures on the 3 light horse stands done. How much you got left of that army? And I said, well, they're the first 3 elements of the army that I've got done. So he's like, oh, so 9 stands. I said, no, probably like 15, because I got to do Polish allies for them. I got to do 2 different generals. It's going to be a while. This is going to be a 2022 project. I'll be lucky to get them done by the end of the year, but we'll see, because there's a lot left to be done on them. Here's Vlad's castle. I primed that about a month ago. This is just a white metal casting by Archiminima. They're available on Etsy, and they're fairly expensive. I mean, this was like $30, not including shipping. But, it's one of those things you buy once. So, and it is pewter. It's a 1-piece pewter thing. And it's available in lots of different scales. This happens to be the largest one. I don't know why they make them so small, what you could do to them, that almost like you could, I guess if you had some skills, you could like make like a pendant out of it or whatever, and if you want to give that to your girlfriend after some visit to Vlad's castle or something. But this is the biggest one. They get significantly smaller, but this is it could have been 50%, maybe double in size, and it would have been fine for DVA. But I like the smaller pieces, because it's going to be on a bigger base. It's not going to be it's going to be on a base even big, maybe the footprint of it are like about that big, and I'll put it up on a hill or something. But I don't want to get distracted by those details when I don't even have an army for them to go with. So yes, we have the Russian colluders again here. Let's who invited the Russian bots? I don't know. I guess I should be fortunate that it's not porn, that is why on my regular videos my comments are all moderated, because we had some folks that that were pushing links to not child-friendly sites. I didn't even click on them, because who knows what they really were. But we don't have time for that here. That's not what this is for. I swear it's not me. It's not you. No. You have a bunch of Sengoku models waiting to be printed. I have no intention of kink shaming those poor impaled suckers. Yeah. The people who were responsible for the first impaling wish it to be known that they have been impaled. Oh, man. Yep. There's a Monty Python reference-ish. Porn bots could be entertaining. They could be, yes. Yes, they could. Here's my Vlad figure. They make figures that are specifically Vlad. I don't know that they would look any more Vladdy than this guy. But this guy does have the right hat. You know, and he used a bow and a sword, and he's got all those things on there. He's wearing a coat over his, you know, so this is the guy we're going to use as the Vladdy guy. This is going to be the general in the Wallachian army. And he's going to have two guys next to him. These are actually Wallachian cavalry from minifigs. And I replaced their wimpy lances that they came with and made one that's particularly tall. This is the one that's going to have the flag on it, the Wallachian flag. So that's this. This is not the Moldavian command stand. The Moldavian command stand is a nightstand. So who are we doing next? So I'm thinking we're going to do the Saloy. I got 6 stands of Saloy. That's 12 Saloy figures. The problem is these are all mixed in together. And I know that the bowmen are in here as well. So let me divvy these guys up. And then, all right, this is Fast Horde. I already sorted this and I have to sort them again. This is Fast Horde. Here's 2 more Saloy guys. This is Fast Horde. This guy's Fast Horde. Here's another Saloy guy. Let's get all these. Because I know I put all these figures apart. Let's see what we got here. We got Gun Crew also. He's Gun Crew, Gun Crew, Gun Crew, Gun Crew. All right. As tempting as it is to do the Gun Crew next, because I love doing the Gun Crew. All right. Now, these should be all the figures for the Saloy stands, plus the Fast Horde. Okay, and this is the Fast Horde stands. Here's the 5 figures for the Fast Horde. There. So, set them off to the side. Okay, so this should be Saloy plus the 2 fast bow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 6. Correct. All right. So let me do by poses because then I'll be able to know who's going to be who. Okay. This guy's wearing fur and has a helmet. This guy's the same pose. This guy has a helmet. This guy's no helmet. These 2 are the same one. This one's different. I had all this sorted out before, and then I just pushed them off. All right. What about all the helmeted guys? I bet there's 6 guys that have helmets. Knowing me, that's probably what I did. And that's exactly what I did. So here's the... Nope, it's not what I did. I probably needed to use all of them. Okay, so... Oh, another guy with a helmet. Okay. Okay, so these guys that are more proper looking. Oh, here's another guy. These guys are actually Serbian figures. They have like a tunic. Another Serbian guy with a tunic. These guys are wearing like sheepskin furs. Okay, these guys are definitely all in the Saloy group. I guess I should have put them in baggies. I did. I had them separated, and then I based them all and painted them black, and things got out of control. Crazy. Okay. This guy's wearing fur and a helmet. So I'm going to say he's part of that group. Same thing with him. Same thing with him. Same thing with him. Okay, so we got these Serbs that are uniformed. There's two of them, so one can go on each stand. Cool. One of those on each stand. And one of those on each stand. And this guy's over there. Okay, so these are going to be my, the fast bow. And then these guys are going to be the skirmishers. Okay. And why don't I just do the two fast bow first? It's like 6 figures. Knock them out. When I knock out 6 figures, I can base 6 figures. Let's do that. Let's knock out the two fast bow. That's how I make decisions. All right. You started to be more popular. Yeah. Well, I'm just sharing my love for this stuff. I don't need to be popular. I'm not an attention whore. There's people you see on the internet with their reels and stuff. I'd have a lot more viewers if I was a pretty young girl. But that's not what we're here for. I might even subscribe to myself if I was a pretty young girl. Have all those, what's that new term that, I'm not that old. Maybe I am. I don't think I'm that old. I still feel like I'm 25, but man, this new lingo that people speak now. Have all those thirsty people come visit me. And just when you learn new lingo, there's even more new lingo. Oh, I didn't take my own advice. See? Scatterbrain. We got time for that later. We've burned off enough time. These guys are dry now. So let's go ahead and base these so that we can see these guys finished. So, new basing material. Here it is. Vallejo ground texture. They make programs that can turn you into a pretty young girl. No, they don't. Not in my world, they don't. Oh, let's not go there. No, I'm too old school for that. And maybe they could turn me into a girl, but not pretty. No, that's a comment too far. Oh, man. All right, where is my device that I like to use to hold these figures? It's a good thing I'm semi-organized, because I know most people's painting area is just an upside down mess, and mine really isn't. But even so, I have trouble finding stuff. Let's find out where that little thing is. Should be right here on top. I mean, I guess I could get something else. Here. It's almost exactly what it should be. This. It's a cheap scraper. And now you can hold this thing and not have to get goop all over you. So does that mean I will be swarmed by 2 SS Panzer divisions now. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I won't be painting SS anytime soon. Actually, I don't think I've ever painted SS before. I have SS figures for my skirmish. I just never got around to doing them. The smocks scared the crap out of me. I mean, those smocks are really cool, but it scared the crap out of me, like doing colors. I mean, now I've seen there's some pro-level guys out there that have done these, done really good jobs on the smocks, and I could probably do a pretty good job of it. But at the time when I was painting my 20 mil skirmish figures, yeah, that would scare the living crap out of me. This stuff is weird. It's more watery. It's supposed to dry faster. We're going to check on that. I didn't do a real extensive review of this stuff, but it's grittier. It's almost like I'm playing with sand that I grabbed from the beach. You know, the part of the beach where the sand is still wet? You go in and grab that. That's what this stuff, I mean, you can hear it. Listen. Well, I could hear it. You hear that? It's like grit. It's got like a real grit as opposed to resin. I'm sure this stuff will be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. But we had to switch because the other stuff isn't available anymore. So I do have about a half a bottle of it. I'm going to hold on to it I'm going to safeguard that like the one true cross or something like that, some relic. Because I may need to create another stand for an army that's already complete. Or nearly done. And I want the basing to look the same on those armies. So that's the reason why I'm switching. It's not because I was disappointed with the material that I was using. I'm very happy with it, and I've been using it for over 10 years and been very happy with it all along. Yeah, gritty. Listen to that. Feels like sand, almost sandpaper-ish. But that Liquitex resin sand is no longer being manufactured, I understand, because it's not a sustainable product. I don't know. I don't think I'm bringing the downfall of the civilization because I'm using this material to put on my stands. We will see. Let's hope not. So I don't know if you guys saw the video already that we filmed yesterday. It was kind of a unique opportunity to play on Saturday morning. That would be my ideal time to play, Saturday morning. But a couple things have to go right on, and we have to be not traveling out of town. And weekends are kind of my family time, so, you know, but if the family's not around, well, the family was. They just were off to a late start. We just made that work to make up for last Monday not having any gaming, so got that session in. Was able to play in that, edit the video, and upload it all in one day. So wasn't a very long video. That's one thing I've noticed is Mitch and I play games. We'll play a lot faster than other people. And a couple of the games, one of the games I was playing, it seemed like it was taking a long time, but ended up being a shorter than normal game. A normal game being an hour. We play quicker than most people, and without really hurrying. And the quicker we play, the shorter the video is, which means the easier it is to for the phone to compress it and upload it. Make it sound like the phone. Now, the phone's more powerful on a computer. It takes a lot longer to do things on a computer, and honestly I don't edit other than the beginning of the video, and if I have to splice it together, which like yesterday's video was just running the whole time. I don't think any of us even took a bathroom break. It's not spliced together, so the less I screw with it, the easier it is to get it into your homes watching it. So that's a win-win for everybody. But 3 games was, I think, just over 2 hours, or 2 hours and 2 minutes or something like that. So check that out if you haven't seen it, if that's your thing. Not sure who's going to be playing tomorrow. I don't even know what the theme is. Here's the thing, don't know who's playing, so we don't know what the theme's going to be. So it'll be something we haven't done before, I'm sure. Try to keep it fresh. Okay, so before this stuff dries out, I like to wipe the end off so we don't have any of this overhanging onto the next stand, and they're able to fit flush together, okay? And it's just going to sit here and dry. Now, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go ahead and pull them out now so don't forget, and get some rocks and put a few rocks in the stand. I happen to like how that looks. We're going to put them right here so we don't forget. Let's see. Buying Airfix for World War I, World War II, like it's going out of style. They'll Fallschirmjäger, but no SS. They were a bit mean. That's one way to put it. They were a bit mean. Oh, man. Good morning, Dirk. A comment too far. Yes. They are a bit eepy cray. Just watching and playing Africa Core like the rest of us. Just hand wash and play Africa Core like the rest of us. I love Africa. I love the desert. Okay, let's back up. War sucks, all right? Well, now that I've said that, for wargaming purposes, the desert is an awesome, North Africa is great. Both sides are very interesting, and the campaigns were very dynamic. The only thing that sucks about North Africa, in my opinion, is the interaction between artillery. Between infantry and tanks could be better. There's a lot of situations where, because of lack of cover, and yes, there's more cover in certain places in North Africa than you would think, but not compared to other theaters. So that's, if you're one of those people that loves to play tanks and only with tanks and we don't really care about infantry, and a lot of micro armor type games tend to go in that direction, then North Africa is really kind of a perfect venue for that. Because it wasn't like there was infantry that was spread all over the place. They were holding control points and things like that, and it was very fluid, more than in most places. So, I love North Africa. So, you have some of the brown texture from Viejo. It should dry pretty good in an hour or so. Really, mill acrylics has a fast dry time. The other stuff took like 6 hours to dry, but mixes really extremely low PVA, extra sand, spackle, throw a little tan primer and brown wash in there too. I call it spludge, and holds strips of 6mm forever. Oh. Some battle reports are so ponderous. I'm surprised you play as quick as you do filming a live take. I don't want to play and not film anymore because I love the commentary that we do. It's fun to do. I'm not worried about giving away my plan or something. I just, I wish I could do more commentary. And why I'm doing certain things. Now, sometimes I may not make the best choices, but at least I'm telling you why I'm doing it. You guys super experienced, no shock, your games often go fast. Middle game where you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat was great. Yeah, that was an incredible game. I don't know how. I don't know how I won that one, but that's what makes DBA great. Well, the reason why that's even possible is because what game can you lose when a third of your forces are gone? Most of them you have to lose more. So the fact that the game isn't over, the game is over at a point where only a third of your forces are killed, means that the guy that's not on the losing end isn't that far behind the guy that loses. So it gives the guy who's doing not so well a chance to come back because it's not that far. I don't know what I know what I'm trying to say, but even if you won, you still the loser generally did not lose as many things as it would in other games. So there's always a chance for them to come back, more so than other systems. And that's a big part of it. And if it is an unwinning situation, then, it's over soon. It's not like you got to suffer another 4 hours with, well, I knew 3 hours ago I couldn't win, but, it's a slow game. And, nobody wants that. Everybody wants to have a chance of victory or at least a say in it. Played numerous games, ended like that. Most fun to play. Pumped up the Strelets. 172nd Australian Infantry for North Africa. Do more skirmish, 3 or 4 squads. Tank support piece. Yeah, that's how I like to do skirmish. I like to run a squad. Each person runs about a squad. It's almost like World War II is my religion. And I need to get my fix. I need so much detail that it just bogs the game down. And I'd rather just play DBA and get a lot of stuff accomplished. And I don't know. I got other ways to get my World War II fix out. I've played lots of World War II miniature games. So if I never play another one, it's okay. But it is my period, but I'm really particular about how I play it. I'm not a Flames of War type person. I'm definitely more. I'm a rivet counter and tread head. So. He started collecting 6mm here at GHQ. The choice North Africa or France, 1940. Went with France, but eventually get North Africa. That's interesting because France is kind of a forgotten theater. I don't like France for a few reasons. I like it when both sides have cool vehicles and things. And I don't think the Germans in 1940. I hate it's Poland where they use the White Cross, which is just stupid looking. I just don't like a lot of the vehicles in France that the Germans use don't have the turret bustle. So like a Panzer IV-D is just smooth round around the back. It just looks messed up. I guess maybe that's a stupid reason to do it, but nothing against the French. The French had cool vehicles, cool camouflage schemes, and it's your one chance to use them in that, using their own vehicles. Because I'm not particularly interested in playing with French when they're using like Shermans, like in 1944. Like, okay, that doesn't make them individually anything. Here's a thought. I know that the Free French had troops like liberating Paris and stuff like that. What did their infantry wear? Did they use like regular U.S. uniforms, or did they use their 1940 helmets and stuff? Did they use their Adrian helmets? That's interesting. I never thought about that before. Well, I never considered board gaming them in 1944, but I know they used like Shermans, and they had like a little diamond with a French flag, right? It was a French tricolor and it was a diamond shape that would be on the side of the Sherman. I'm pretty sure they used the diesel Shermans. Again, I used to be a 1/35th scale modeler, so make sure you put the right Sherman on there. I think the French used the diesel Shermans, like the British did. But anyhow, their infantry, did they use the U.S. pattern helmets and stuff, or did they revert to the 1940s stuff, or was it even a mix? That's an interesting question. Never really thought about it. It's like pulling out. You have to break grognard conditioning and play whatever. But with big tank battles, I guess it's a way bigger commitment. I game all over the place. Always small forces. About bold action, really didn't get excited for it. Then I discovered 5 Minute Kursk by Nordic Wiesel. It's your kind of fits your MO. I use a set of rules that are out of print now called The Face of Battle. And we were coming out with a set of, we were making our own set of rules, a buddy of mine at the time. My Mitch at the time, let's put it that way, who I didn't play with as often as Mitch. But he was a painter, so he'd come over every week and paint. We're coming up with our own set of rules, and then I happened across The Face of Battle, and it was spookingly close to what we were coming out with. And we used that, and pretty happy with it. But it does move pretty slow. And it is out of print, but pretty happy with it. I get what you're saying, about 25% to win. I do have a problem with Roman army. Can be defeated and not lose a single legionary. You often raise a defeat threshold. If double figures... You love World War I French uniforms. I'm talking about the early ones, probably. Yeah. Yeah, they look pretty cool. What period of World War II do you like the most? Barbarossa. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Barbarossa. All the way. As I like to say, which bad guy do you want to play? I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say something that's kind of controversial. I mentioned this to Mitch yesterday because I watched a movie recently, a series that I had seen before. I actually watched it with Mitch probably 4 years ago, and he actually bought the series, and now it's out on Amazon. I highly recommend it. It's a very good series. It's called Generation War, and it follows these five people through... it starts kind of like the invasion of Russia, and they're like in their 18 to 21 year olds or whatever. And, you know, a couple of them are in the army. There's 3 males and 2 females. Yeah. 2 of the guys in the army. One guy's a lieutenant, and the other, the younger brother is you've got the lieutenant who's all about, you know, serving his country, and his father had been in the other war and wants to set a good example. The younger brother is kind of a rebel, and, you know, he's not really a defeatist, but he wants to, he just wants to survive and just kind of want to get by, you know. It's almost kind of like a pacifist, almost. Got the other friend who's Jewish, and of course, you know, he's doing the whole keep a low profile, and eventually, you know, trying to get out of that situation. And the other character is the German girl that wants to be in a movie star, so she's trying to do stuff to further her career. It's really kind of interesting. The last girl goes in as a nurse. She's over on the Eastern Front, and they kind of experience different things, and a lot of their characters change. They start being one type of personality, and the war changes them into something else. It's a 3-part, it's almost like 3 movies. They're like 2 hours long each. I highly recommend it. And, but the controversial part is growing up when I did, and talking about the Eastern Front is kind of the battle of the baddies. And I can't, and I don't know whether it's because of reading the stuff at the time, but I can't feel, I feel like I'm sympathetic. Maybe sympathetic is the wrong word. Maybe it's, you kind of look like, when you're playing the Eastern Front, that the Germans are better than the Russians. Like, and they're not, but, you know, because when I'm wargaming, I'm not wargaming the Holocaust stuff. I mean, which the Holocaust stuff is horrible, okay? But when you're talking about this, like the guys on the front lines, I I gotta throw in with the Germans a little more. I don't know whether it's just it raising because the German stuff's a little cooler looking, but I don't know if that makes any sense. I know just the time that I grew up, I'm 50, so, we read all the German general stuff like that. I know a lot of it is bullshit, and it's all from one standpoint, but I can't help but watching the Eastern Front and liking the Germans better than the Russians. Now, of course, I think, Germans should have taken out the Russians, and we should have taken them both out, but that's beside the point. But it is the, which bad guy do you want to play? And I do enjoy playing Russians quite a bit, because you get to do all kinds of, drunk jokes and stuff like that. But I recommend Generation War. It's very good. It's, like I said, I watched it 4 years ago. Didn't remember jack shit about it, which is kind of cool in a way. So I got to watch it again, almost like a new thing, and I really, really liked it. I thought it was really well done. I mean, yes, there's a couple of mistakes in it, like, they're using an MG42 around Moscow in 1941. It didn't come out for like another year. Okay. And a couple of scenes with some bazookas that they wouldn't have had. And, there was a 234-85 in like a time period where they weren't out yet. But other than that, I thought it was pretty interesting. And it was pretty interesting how all the characters kind of changed throughout the thing. So I recommend that. But I don't know. Maybe my viewpoint is outdated. Obviously neither. It's a good thing that they didn't win the war, but yeah, I like Barbarossa. But it is one of those, no rules. Yep. Kind of makes my fern flaccid to play a Nazis versus commie fight, to be honest. I'll just skirmish level get over myself. Yeah. Yeah, James, you pretty much said it right there. German army's impressive leadership, ideologically path messed up. Yep, that's kind of an understatement to the max. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I prefer to build German army tanks because they're not just better looking. They are. They had cool stuff. I mean, they did. I mean, but... and the other thing is obviously you got to throw the political stuff away. It's easier to relate to, as a person of Western inclination, it's easier to associate with the Germans than it is with the Russians. I mean, first of all, the Russians don't even use the right alphabet. It doesn't mean I'm anti-Russian. And I just hate communists. And I don't have to say I hate Nazis. Nobody likes Nazis. Those guys were terrible. But I hate communists. But I'll play anybody, I'll play anybody. But I have preferences. Different. I don't like playing Americans. I'm already American. We don't have the most exciting stuff, equipment and stuff like that. It's all bland, and I mean, I think the British in North Africa are like glorious looking. I think their tanks are freaking awesome. I've done a fair amount of naval gaming. I love the British in World War II. I think that they're freaking super awesome. I love the names of their ships and what they look like and their camouflage schemes and all this shit that they had to do to go all over the place. And but as far as wargaming on land, Barbarossa, and the ocean, Mediterranean. I love the Mediterranean. It's a really interesting theater. But I don't know that I've never had SS figures. And I'm not one of those people that think that the Wehrmacht was clean of the stuff that they did. I mean, they knew what was going on. They were just, the way I rationalize it is, and it could be totally wrong, is, they feel like they got screwed out of the first one, and this was payback. And I don't really blame them for that. I mean, I think that they took it way too far, but it's just my personal opinion, but they knew what was going on. It was like, well, we'll just sort it out when we win. And oops, didn't win. There's your problem. So, but go look at I used to build 135th scale tanks, right? Back when I was building tanks, one of my favorite manufacturers was Tamiya, right? They make really good stuff. Their instructions to build tanks are kind of the opposite of Phil Barker's instructions to play DBA. I mean, there's nothing left for the imagination. They're very clear, very well done. Their lineup at the time, I haven't built anything since the early 90s, was probably 75 to 80% of their vehicles are German vehicles. Why? I mean, they're a Japanese company. Why don't they build Japanese tanks, right? Well, because the German vehicles just involved in so many different theaters. They had different, I mean, they were masters of propaganda. They had interesting symbols for their units and stuff like that. And, that makes them interesting. Whereas, U.S. vehicles have, your armored division. I mean, even the British at least had like interesting symbols for their units. The Americans are just like, what? If it's the 14th Armored Division, you'd have 14 and then you have a little triangle and then you would have the license number of the whatever. I mean, that's not very exciting for modeling, that kind of stuff, But at the same time, I've been to gaming conventions where I've seen people wear, and I'm personally not offended by it, they'll wear like a t-shirt, they're wargaming, say, the Ghost Panzer Division, right? The 11th? Yeah, I'm gonna forget this stuff. If I don't freaking play World War II gaming, I'm gonna forget all this stuff. They have the skeleton or whatever. I'm not gonna wear a t-shirt with a freaking German army insignia because it sends the wrong message. It sends a message like, okay, well, what, did you want those fuckers to win? No, I just think that their symbols are cool. Well, what if you run into a World War II vet who's, who fought those guys? It's kind of it's a slippery slope I don't want to go down. So, do I think it's in bad taste? Maybe. I think people should have a right to do it if they want to, but, you got to suffer the consequences too, But I know people that won't play Germans for whatever reason, and that's fine. You have your own reasons. You don't have to. I'll play anybody. It doesn't bother me. It's just a game. I'm gonna try to win with them. It's just a game. All these civilizations, at least in the DBA period as well, the DBA time period, most of these people were really bad folks. Most of these rulers were really, people you wouldn't want to meet in real life. All right, how is this first batch holding up? Is it drying yet? I don't think so. I think we're okay. I don't see this drying in an hour. I hope not. I need a little bit more time than that. Almost done with this. Hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. I'm not, I'm not a revisionist or trying to change shit. I'm just saying, when I grew up, with the stuff that we saw, and will probably change. I haven't talked to any World War II vets in a long time, but I have talked to several of them back when I used to work at the hobby store. They would come in and they would have totally different experiences based on what they experienced and totally different attitudes towards the enemy depending on what they experienced on the battlefield. And it makes total sense. I get somebody not liking Japanese even to this day if they were involved in jungle fighting with them. It makes sense to me. So, but now back to World War II. Not a fan of the Pacific Theater. Just doesn't appeal to me. Just doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't feel like it was really well balanced. I think North Africa was. I think North Africa is probably the most balanced theater. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion, you know. Troop quality and stuff like that. Eastern Front was balanced, I think, because of numbers. But, and obviously it depends on what year you're doing, but I mean, just generally because of numbers. But I think one for one, North Africa's balanced pretty well, so. That's almost a situation where the British have the cooler vehicles because they have those crazy counter paint schemes and really neat stuff. You love British sardine tanks. Me, I don't know what those are, but I think I do too. People fought both sides. Oh. If you want to do more than one theater, you're going to get multiple German forces. Yeah. Just a couple squads. You have to research what it's due. It's not interalliation. Yeah. People forget both sides were aligned to like the end of 1940, start of 41. Like good old-fashioned American GI models, but nothing beats Tommies, Commonwealth troops, and weirdo moving castle tanks. Matildas, man. Matildas were awesome. You're a big orc guy. That doesn't mean I endorse cattle raiding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Could be mixing up the drying time on my products. Actually, the spare World War I, World War II figures I have would make a great Hearts of Iron alternate history type thing. Different uniforms, New England versus Cal. You know, I've always thought if I had an infinite amount of time on my hands, I would love to do a world conflict before the turn of the century. And then you could do an alternate reality thing. So you could have, you know, Germans and French and, you know, all the colonials plus the all the colonial powers plus all the colonials themselves. And you could just do a hodgepodge of people allied at one moment and then backstabbing each other. I think it would work really well. I don't know what scale. I don't do 28, so that's out of the picture. I don't have all my entire life to paint, so it just takes way too long. But I think that would be an interesting time period, you know, like 1898 or something like that, or before even like 1897, 1 year before the Spanish-American War. There you go. Is best mix. Try mixing the grout, sand, paper. Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. I want to compare these in the same method that I used the other one. Like I said, I was really happy with the Liquitex resin sand, but for whatever reason, you know, they just didn't work it. Only thing about the Pacific Theater that appeals to me is running an island invasion scenario. I think that would be a lot of fun. We've played some games with the ABDA stuff and early stuff. So you've got the Japanese versus the different nations. You know, the Dutch and the British and that kind of stuff. We've done a campaign with that a long time ago. And we also did a Guadalcanal one. But after Guadalcanal, I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, the Pacific doesn't exist for wargaming purposes. It's just way too it's very one-sided, and all the American equipment is all the same. So it's like, you know, every destroyer is a Fletcher-class destroyer type thing, you know, so not a whole lot of fun. For like I said, from a modeling standpoint. Have to head out. Fun. Watch you later. Awesome. The British tank aesthetic, ultra pragmatic, like tin castles on tracks. Yeah, that sounds like an A9. God, was Matilda 1 ugly as shit or what? The Matilda 2 is sexy cool, but not the Matilda 1. Working on my Frenchman again. Not happy with him at all, but pledging to complete him. And the French World War II tanks, I think, are really interesting. Wouldn't want to be in one of them. Well, I wouldn't want to be in any of them to begin with, but you know, very cramped, one-man turrets, that kind of thing. And I've thought about doing a World War I skirmish game in 20 mil, of course. Why would I do another scale? It's my favorite scale. And but you know, obviously, it wouldn't be trench warfare. That's a lot of the same. But I guess I could do Eastern Front and be a little bit more. No, I'd want to do French German. Everybody does the other stuff. It's just one opportunity to use the French. You could talk, then you could play those talk like a silly Frenchman voices, you know, and doing the voices, I think, is a huge incentive to build a different nation, as far as I'm concerned. No matter how absurd or, yeah, it's just an appeal for me. And I personally don't have anything against the French. You know, lots of people do. Why? They never even met somebody. No, I'm not defending the French. I'm just saying, you know, you can't lump them all into the same thing. It's not like everybody from the United States is like somebody from New York. We don't want that. We don't want that place. That's not America. That's just some people. I wonder if this is the first one, because I laid it kind of flat here. Yeah, we'll just sink these things in here. Just a few poking out. It's going to be mostly covered with other stuff that's not rocks. Just to break up the look. And we'll let these guys dry. And we'll see how this material does, and hopefully it doesn't suck. Don't waste the... All right. I have water that I left around here somewhere. Maybe I brought it. I'll be right back. Let me go get a beverage. All right. I only had one caffeinated beverage this morning. So, I got a decent amount of sleep last night, so I shouldn't be falling asleep or anything. Okay. Actually, these little guys, they need to move because they're kind of in harm's way right now. Hopefully we can paint them tonight. I really would like to see them done. We're going to do some different grass structure on them a little bit. Same style. The base colors of the earth is still going to be the same, so that's going to be constant. All right, we're not going to start with the Serbs because they have kind of a uniform here. What do we have here that... So we're doing the two fast bows, took two Serb figures and put them over here. And then, are all these the same pose? These two are the same. And these two are the same. Okay, I don't mind painting in a batch like that because I'll make sure that they don't look the same. All right, let's Let's get the black and touch up any black that may need to be touched up. And of course, I put my brushes away, which means I've got to hunt down what my favorite ones are, or the ones I've been using. It works fine. I haven't built model kits in a long time, but I mean, when I was building them, there's only a couple of companies that just set the notifications so I can catch the stream now. Thanks, Paul. Awesome. You guys are helping me tremendously, interacting with me, whether you realize it or not. It keeps me on track, which is my whole point in doing this. But anyways, I was saying that back when I used to build models, there was only a couple of companies that was a problem with them. Like if you're building, Luftwaffe planes, that they wouldn't include swastikas in them. I don't know, is that still a thing, or it's gotten worse? Or I've been out of the modeling scene for so long that I don't put swastikas on things that they don't have. But I mean, if you're building a Messerschmitt, it kind of has to have more on the tail. I'm not promoting that ridiculous ideology, but you need to make your vehicles accurate. Yeah, I went back and I looked at models about a year ago, and I'm like, where'd all these 148 scale tanks come from? That wasn't even a thing back then. It's probably from the 28 millimeter World War II gaming, which wasn't a thing back then either. When I was doing skirmish, World War II and 28 millimeter wasn't even a thing. And I don't come from a background of playing 28 millimeter games, so the appeal of, oh, now you can paint the same type of figures just in a historical setting really didn't apply to me. As I know that is part of the appeal of it, is try to grab some of that Warhammer scale, but I've never played a Warhammer anything, so. But I do love playing World War II, but I can get my World War II kick by playing in other ways that you can't with this ancient and medieval stuff. So, and I've played a lot of World War II in the past, so I'm okay not, like I said, not playing it again. Uh-oh, we got a long one. What do you got here? Worse, can't have image on box. Hard to find decals. Well, I know the British manufacturers didn't have a problem with it. With all the Airfix and stuff like that. I used to build a lot of the MPC kits growing up, which were Airfix kits rebranded with better artwork. And they all had swastikas on it. My first German plane was a Stuka. I Still have a soft spot for one. I think it's a cool looking plane. Oh, more Russians. Here we go. We're just going to report it. German laws and a few other countries make it illegal to display one or put it in games. I could see. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm glad you liked that video. I wish we had more of those, but he hasn't come back. He hasn't come back in a couple of years. Maybe we could do a video where Mitch and I are just pretending that we're starting off and saying what we're doing at every single thing. I don't know. I may have to remind him too much to talk about it. Maybe it's something to do if we're bored running out of things to do. But you got to remember, they're not my rules, so it's not really my job to promote his game. He should have done a better job of writing them, making them more accessible to new players. So we do what we can. And still, after playing the newest version for almost 10 years, there's a question that came up the other day that somebody posted that was 180 degrees from the way we play. And at some point, you just have to move on. If you watch the latest video that we just did yesterday, we have a couple situations that we kind of made our own rulings on. And that may not be the way that most people play. And I'm kind of over it. You know, I'm like, well, we thought about it. We explained why we are going to play it the way we did. And we did. I'm not going to worry about having done it wrong. You know, ultimately it's you know, we've played a lot of games and we have our reasons why we think an interpretation should be a certain way. If you want to interpret it differently, you interpret it differently. You know, we're not trying to control anybody. We don't care how you play the game, as long as you have fun and be honorable while you're playing the game. That's the thing I enjoy most about gaming with Mitch, is there's a high level of honor, as I like to say. We're not going to be like, well, let me see what I can get away with, or cheat, or, you know. I don't have time for that. I wouldn't put up with that. I don't want to have that kind of a gaming experience. I know some of you guys do have people in your group that are that way. I just wouldn't play with them. They're dead to me. You know, that's not a very honorable way to play. Just a game. If you're not playing it fairly, what's the point? Okay, I think we've... This is weird. This cup I use for water is something that my daughter got at some trip she took for student government. And I think it changes colors, because I used to be blue and now it's purple. Strange. Very strange. All right. It changes temperature and changes color. I don't know. Just a bloody cup. All right. So, these guys are wearing something different. First thing is find out what the hell are these guys exactly wearing. Well, they've got pants on. And they've got a tunic with some kind of an undershirt, which is almost guaranteed to be a white color every time. All right, so let's paint his undershirt white to start off with this guy. And I don't think I'm going to paint them all at once. I'm just going to paint them in series. So, and the reason I do that is because it's fresh in my mind what colors I choose for these guys. So I don't go back and repaint them exactly the same way. You know. Finished painting for the night, off to bed. Shared my next army, feudal Spanish. Ooh. 3D printed 28 millimeter. Hopefully they're not too brittle. I don't know. I think that 3D printing in 10 years may be significantly better. Oh, I mean, 60, I can still paint. I'm still counting on being able to paint for another 20 years, so I got lots of painting ahead of me. That's my plan anyways. All right, let's use, is there any browns out here? Yes. Because I don't want to always darken white with black, because then it just turns in that same gray color. So here's a brown that we had from yesterday. And all right, let's lighten this up a little bit more. All right, then this guy's jacket, we want to keep these guys kind of drab looking. That was one of the appeals of building this army, is they have a lot of peasantry type looking guys. So we're going to do his pants in this color. My collection of 15mm, I seem to have an army's worth of Egyptians, Hittite, Mitanni. Have you built a Mitanni army? Just wondering. I have not. But the figures for the Mitanni look very interesting. Though, at least the ones I've seen, and that's the ones from Black Hat. It used to be Gladiator, Black Hat. They're now back to Gladiator. I like how they look. It's very chariot heavy, very few heavy foot. I am going to do another Book 1 army. I'm not a Book 1 fan for reasons I've mentioned before. But I do have, they're considered later Sargonid Assyrians from museum. All ready to go. So that'll be the next Book 1 army I suspect. But it won't be done this year because these guys are going to keep me busy. And I'm pretty sure I know the next army I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I know what the next army I'm going to do is, but I don't want to really consider them because I'll be too excited. But, and they're an army that I've mentioned before. So I brainstormed a little, and yesterday I talked to Mitch about it. I'm pretty sure the next guys I'm going to do, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. But that's still months away. I'm really getting a kick out of painting these irregular looking troops, you know, because people don't play with them that often. What kind of, this guy's just got little slip-on shoes, right? I'm trying to discern what exactly these guys are wearing. Sometimes it's kind of interesting situation. We need a smaller, more controlled brush. It's the one we're going to use for the faces. We don't want to burn out on that thing and then not have it not be useful when you need it to be. Maybe it was this one. I think this is the one. I'll probably paint, like, say all the bows at once and just knock out everybody's bow. So we'll get everybody painted up to the point where they're doing that. Because the bows, I want them to be consistent looking. I never gave it another thought. It was always to them to be the same, use the same colors. Although, I guess potentially it could be different looking depending on what wood they were. If they threw them on the ground and they sat in the mud or whatever. I rinse brushes a lot. Been noticing that. All right. Tunic top. Let's do something that's a tiny bit of blue in it. Even though this is called field blue. It's pretty gray looking. By the way, if I have any good references for Spanish heraldry, please let me know. I do, but not for the El Cid period. It's a little early. In the El Cid period, you just kind of have to just kind of roll with it. It's not until you get into the 1200s that you start seeing like some heraldry devices. I bet it's Seleucid. I bet it's not. You want me to let me know what it is? It's pre-feudal Scots. I want to do pre-feudal Scots. Mitch really wants me to do the Byzantines. I really want to do both. I want to snap my fingers and they're all done. But no, it's not Seleucid. I do have Seleucid to do, but Mitch went up and bought a freaking Seleucid army many, many years ago. So they kind of took the steam out of the thing on there. The successor army I really want to build is Pyrrhus. But I don't know when I'm going to get around to doing him. He's definitely my favorite successor. Easily. He's a very interesting character. That's extremely blue. That's much bluer than I thought it was going to be. All right, let's do a couple things. First of all, in this new set of brushes, let's find another one that's my friend because I want to save this one for the faces. So let me find another one that's almost as good as that one, but not quite. Let's start there. Wow, that looks like one could be excellent. We don't want to waste that on. There's a long ass liner right there. Look at that. Whew. Yeah, we could use that for shields and shit. There's another small one. All right, I got lots of replacements for the face one. Maybe just go on and keep using them. What I've been doing. Byzantines have my vote. Well, I suggest 2mm or 3. I used 3. That's all that was available at the time. I don't like the thinner bases. I think the thicker base you go, the better chance you have of actually grabbing the figure by the base and not bending or messing the figures up. So I like the thick bases. Yeah, if I ever do a successor army again, it's definitely going to be Pyrrhus. I got all the figures that I like for him. He's just a really interesting character. A really interesting character. And that's the problem is I want to do them all. I mean, there's only 50 armies out of all the army lists in the book that I wouldn't want to do. Maybe. I can't use this blue. I am going to use the blue for the pants. I'll just do the pants on the next guy. I think it's a little too much. This jacket would be too expensive for this fellow to have. You know, because things that have tint. Uh-oh. What did I get? I got a notification of something. Why is the internet screwing around now? Alright, I think... Oh, now we're back on. Gremlins from the Kremlin. Gremlins from the Kremlin. Yeah, since I brought the blue out, let's just go ahead and do this guy's pants in blue. Yeah, I want to do the pre-feudal Scots because they're a shittier army. You know, they're not as well balanced. They're not as powerful, I think. That kind of appeals to me. Those make the funner games. It's more asymmetrical. So. And I can have Scotch when I play them. I know, it hadn't been invented yet, but it's the spirit that counts. See what I did there? Because you see how much I drink when we play. I'm not big on it. It's not needed. It's not needed when I'm doing the thing I enjoy to do. One of the things I enjoy doing the most. I don't need to drink while I'm doing it. I need to drink at work. But since we can't do that, then it's not really needed anywhere else. There was getting back to the whole crooked spider thing, as I like to call it. There was a model I had, 1/72 scale, Dornier 17 B, I want to say. It's one they used in the Spanish Civil War. Very sleek looking. I'll tell you right now which one it is. And I don't remember that. I think it was made by Academy. Dornier 17. Wasn't the Z. Wasn't the one that went over England. I'll tell you right now which one it is. Very sleek looking plane. And it was, I want to say it was made by Academy. This is probably like 1992, something like that. Here it is. It is like an M1 or a P. Very sleek looking plane. I thought it was a cool looking plane. And or was an E. I don't know. It was one of those early ones. And Academy gave you the decals that had the swastika, but they were split in half. So you had to, so you had a decal that was, say it was a circular swastika, right? It was split here in the middle, and there was a little bit of a gap. So you put them both, you had to put the decal together as two separate decals. Well, that was one of those models that fell into the category that I started and never finished it. So I never finished the model. But, yeah, so if you put the halves together, you're the Nazi, not the people that are putting the kits. Maybe that's how they got around it. Oh, we didn't give them swastikas, so they put them together. They're the ones promoting National Socialism. I don't know what the workaround was, but they actually gave you that. Thought that was an interesting way. I was like 1992, something like that. I think it was Academy. I could be wrong. I doubt anybody is creating white power rallies and using model kits with little swastikas on there to promote their views. I'm pretty certain that's not the case. It'd be a bit small for the crowd to see. Okay, now we've used up the blue that we put down here that we thought was, it ended up looking bluer than it was. All right, jacket color. It's similar to this other one. All right, let's tinker with this. Let's use this as a base. What color is this? Green gray. Not very green if you ask me. Well, I need something to poke a hole in it. So this epoxy thing is dry by now. So we'll just pop it off. Throw that away. And then get our X-Acto knife. And just take this extra epoxy off. And that's it, good as new. And now we can unclog it like so. Now, we have a mid-brown around here somewhere. Yeah, we could make one. If not, just going to use it as a darkener. His jacket's going to be lighter than his pants. this stuff out here. Yeah, I'm definitely affected what I'm going to build based on what other people around me have. Like just before Joe started getting into playing DBA with us, I was going to build an Italian Condotto army and have it ready to go. And once he got the Italian Condotto, I'm like, I could paint something else. You know, like have my heart set on something. That's one thing. But if there's so many things I'm interested in, there's no reason to paint something that one of the people I play with frequently already has. There's no point in that. Now, those people that buy their figures already painted, buy their armies already painted, they don't have much of a choice. They can only buy whatever someone's selling. So, if you want a DBA army and it's an army that everybody already has, you got to weigh that against the fact that you're going to pick up something that many people already have. But those of us that can create, I mean, we could paint any army, so why paint something that everybody in your group already has? It just doesn't make any sense. To me, anyways. Could be productive together. Okay, and let's lighten this up with a core color a little more. And a little bit more. Could just probably use this right straight from the, not highlighting it at all. Okay, pretty happy with that. Let's go do the flesh and bring this guy to life. It's got a little tuft at the end that needs to be corrected. Not yet. Not yet. All right. I doubt we have our flesh colors that are still usable. Let's check. Oh, a pleasant surprise. we're going to paint every fleshy part. Every fleshy part I see. Does this guy have facial hair? He does. This guy has a lay beard. Got a spot there that escaped the black basing. So let's go ahead and do that now, so that we're not distracted by it. Jeez, it's already been 2 hours? Holy moly. Time's flying fast today. All right, let's take this. All right. Now, the moment of truth. Let's see if this... Yep, that's alive too. All right, cool beans. How is this stuff looking? Oh, it's hardening quicker than the other stuff. That's cool. I think today's going to be another one of those cold days. Oh, darn. What is it? 37 right now. What time period are these fellas from? So, mid 1400s? Mid 1400s, yeah. This is part of Dracula's army. The real Dracula. I think he's Vlad the Third. Yeah. Long time ago in a country far away. Alright, let's highlight this in this color. And a little bit more white. That's not bad. Of course, there's lots of black things around. Can't really make out what he looks like yet, but he's getting there. It's nice to paint a guy that has a beard and not just a mustache. I was getting old. Would I ever do full painting tutorials? Probably not. Too much editing. Too much editing. I got lots of painting videos, but not necessarily ones. I've got tutorials on how I do my basing. That was a fun one to do. And then how I spray, but the actual painting and stuff, it would take too long for me to edit. You know. And people are really particular. I mean, my painting is definitely not, by any stretch of the imagination, the fastest way to paint. It never will be. It's not geared towards that. So, I think that a lot of people that, let's get this. I think a lot of people that would be tempted to paint in a similar way that I do would probably just set out and do their hobby while they're watching me do the painting. The actual tutorial they wouldn't have the patience for it. If you don't have the patience to watch and I've had people say, man, your tutorial's too long. I said, dude, it's like 4 minutes. If you don't have 4 minutes, but people are weird about their time, they'll spend, I think the whole TikTok thing and videos that are like 30 seconds and shorter really do a disservice to people's ADD, or it gives them ADD. I don't watch any of that stuff, so. Or try not to. You invariably end up coming across something, but. We'll leave those for the attention whores, as I like to call them. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm just trying to get by and get some painting done. Editing a bunch of videos with painting tutorials is going to do the opposite of that for me. So I got to get stuff done so we can do more videos, and there's lots of stuff we want to do. Most people that do a lot of this painting also do it in other scales that I don't have the time commitment to do. Like I would never do a 28 millimeter painting commitment video. I'm painting video. I'm never going to paint 28 millimeter. It just would take me too long. As I'm one of those people that's like, I'm going to paint as good as I can, as well as I can, within reason. But I got in the habit many years ago of painting with someone coming over to paint every week. And that's kind of stuck with me. So I don't particularly care to sit in a room by myself in silence and paint. And not that I don't enjoy being silent, but I got used to this being kind of a social activity. Okay, now we got his helmet done. Left a little bit of black in between all the spots so it could stand out. I sometimes use a wash on it. Probably don't need to do it on this one. It's just a small area. I said I was going to do the bows together, but I think I'm going to break my own rule. Rules are made to be broken, right? It's probably okay. People are just very particular about what periods and stuff they do. I had somebody, I think, a couple of weeks ago was like, hey, you should paint some Warhammer. Talking to the wrong guy. Science fiction and or fantasy is the first thing against it in my book. I'm just not interested in that. And I'm not interested in 28 millimeter. You want to see some 28 millimeter painted? There's some real pro level guys doing that stuff on there. And girls. So I've thought about doing 6 for some other periods that I haven't gotten into yet. And the easiest thing is just don't get into them. If you're not into the period yet, there's no point in getting into it. For me. It's just going to end up diluting my production and other stuff that I'm already involved in. So it's just best to just leave it alone. Come to the realization that I can't do it all. So I've got to choose what I'm going to spend my time on and work on that. All right, how's the white doing over here? Is it still showing signs of life? I think so. Let's give this guy brown hair, not black hair. You got an ideal way to represent bronze for ancients. I struggle, just end up using gold. I've been pretty successful using this color, or I've been happy with the results using this color called, well, ironically, bronze from Vallejo. But I leave the little black in between the spots. So if I'm doing something that has like these almost like Norman style helmets that have metal banding that goes above the other metal pieces, I make sure to leave a little bit of a black line in between them to help them pop out a little bit more. Mr. Patriot, somebody said I was making pancakes. No, you don't want to see me cook. I make good drinks, but you don't want to eat my food I don't make. I don't even like pancakes. Now waffles are good. There's this place in town that makes some killer waffles that we occasionally go there, but yeah, I'm not a Mitch paints more than I cook. Now, that's saying something. But this Vallejo bronze works pretty well. The other thing that works kind of well with it is this little wash that I have floating around here somewhere. Where is it called? I don't know why it's not right here. The Nuln Oil wash from. So you can paint this, drop Nuln Oil on it, and then come in and highlight with this again, and then highlight a little bit more with some gold or something like that, and make it pop a little bit. It depends what bronze you're doing. I haven't really done any cuirasses or anything like that involve like a lot of muscle texture. And probably if you had that kind of stuff, a wash would probably help a little bit. But I don't really use washes other than in stuff like this. I don't know where my Nuln Oil is. I'm certainly here somewhere. I haven't used it in a little bit. Anyways, it's kind of like this. What's this one? Agrax Earthshade, which I guess you could use this one as well. But this is a very rust, light brown color. I guess you could use. I haven't experimented with a whole lot. I haven't done a ton of things that have. I use bronze all the time, but I've had this bottle probably 15 years, so I don't use big parts of it. Nuln Oil is the bomb. It is. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know where the hell my Nuln Oil is right now. Is it this one? Nope. Is that over here? Well, you bastard, you're not where you're supposed to be. Yeah, Nuln Oil. It's just kind of a heavily pigmented wash that's pre-done. And if you're doing areas that are kind of large, it helps kind of give them some definition. What it does is it does something. What I've used it for is I'll find like a dark metal that I have, all right? And I want to make it darker, and there's no way to do that. So I take this and pour Nuln Oil, not pour, that's the wrong idea. You could use very sparingly. And then Nuln Oil over this. And then I can dry brush or add this color to it and then highlight from there. So it's a way of making something that you don't have a darker way, especially with metallics, and having an even darker level. So that's how I've used it. But again, I don't do 28s. I haven't done an area that's rather large. Like if you were doing something that was rather large like this, you couldn't use the same method that I'm doing because you would only have two colors. You would only have the bottom color, and then you would have any black that you left on it. The Nuln Oil allows it to have a little bit more shadow and create more depth to it. Anyhow, that's how I've used it. I've only started using it recently, and my idea of recently is not other people's recently. I'd say in the last 3 years. I've been painting since like 1985, so Recently is 3 years for me, certainly. Even 5 years is recently. So, recently is relative. Relatively recently. All right, let's paint this guy's hair. This guy's got kind of a curly mullet, so to speak. All right, and maybe add a little bit more of this to it, and then we'll start highlighting from there. We don't want to make this guy too blonde. He's going to look really out of place, in my opinion. I may have a couple blonde bowmen or whatever, but not somebody that has a jacket this color. If I have a choice, I'd rather do it on a guy that has a darker colored jacket, just for contrast purposes. Just for contrast purposes. Maybe a little bit more. All right. See how we're doing on his face now. All right, we got shoes. We got a quiver. We have a sword, and he's done. And my stomach's making a hell of a lot of sound for being fed. Careful, it can stain lighter colors, bringing them way down in brightness. Yeah. I've only used them with metallics. I've only used the normal oil metallic. Certainly useful for lots of other stuff. I just haven't experimented with it a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab a leather type color for that. And let's grab this here. This mahogany color. It's a good one. And white's about dead, so let's go ahead and pull the we can only paint with this if we put it out. That's always a catch. Pancakes. I don't know that I can say that I've ever had good pancakes. I don't know, they're just too damn spongy. I'm not a fan of cakes to begin with, so maybe if you added something with like nuts into the mix, it'd give it some crunch, it'd be better. And I don't tend to eat things that are very sweet. That would be Mitch's department. So that's my preferred time to play, is when I don't have to work the rest of the day, or when I don't have to work the next day. That's my preference. So technically, Monday is the worst day for me because not only do I have to work the next day, I got to work the next 4. So, well, we should be good for a video tomorrow. Again, not sure who's going to show up, so not sure what we're going to do the theme is. All right, just see if I can get that to come out right. Add a little bit of detail there, just to do something. And feathers in the quiver. Yeah, I'm partial using white. Pops out nicely, so. Gotta come to Texas for some good pecan pancakes. I was in Texas recently, but just passing through. I don't have the boots to go to Texas. I don't own cowboy boots. I don't own cowboy boots, and I like to keep it that way. Texas is an interesting place. It's kind of its own thing. I think that's kind of the idea, right? It's its own thing. Texas pancakes, they're probably huge. Just a guess. It's just like one of those meals that instead of waking up, you just end up going back to sleep. You eat that much stuff. Now, did I end up pulling some of that bronze out? I didn't. So, I'm addicted to making these swords of commoners all kind of look the same. I do a little. Oh, I don't remember the sword parts. Is it the hilt? The part that protects your hand this way? I always make it bronze. I just don't want to think about it. And then I make the end bronze as well. And on the inner part, I just pretend it's kind of wrapped with some kind of a cloth. So I don't want to make something from scratch if I don't have to. But it looks like I'm going to have to. what's left? His shoes. Oh, damn it. This guy's going to have black shoes. Because I'm lazy and somebody's got to have black shoes, and it might as well be this guy. Okay. So we can call this guy done. Just a real basic, generic, commoner looking dude. Pecan. Hunkering down the left flank. It's John Carter, Stellar Conquest. How am I going to remember that? Paint some Air Nikes with a swoosh. See if your buddies notice. Oh, probably not. And that's worse if they didn't notice. Let's see if we can get this done. Now I just got to do this 5 more times. Come on. And then these bowmen will be done. So. All right, folks. Well, we've been on here over 2.5 hours, so we're going to call this one a wrap. Let's see how these, let's see how this material is holding up. Nah, it's still wet. It's hardening up a little bit. I don't know if it's hardening up that much faster than the liquid cap stuff. I would imagine it would have similar dry times. But so be it. It'll be later this evening with as cold as it is. It's probably going to take a little longer for it to dry. But this will be the next thing we'll look at is these folks right here. Well, looks like the rest of the tribe is awake. So it was a good run, but real life calls. So thanks for stopping by, and of course, happy painting. Make sure you check out that game video from yesterday if you haven't done so already. And we'll catch you guys in a few days. See you, folks. Bye-bye.